Yes, we are live with another episode of Ro Lamb Live. My name is Ro Lamb. I am your host. This is my guy, Danny J. Quick. He is a comic book creator from Fourth Wall Productions. Danny, how you feeling today? How you feeling, bro?
Hey man, I'm alive. I ain't gonna complain about it.
All
no, but
right. Okay.
no, I feel like an old man because I've been saying that a lot. Like when people be like, "What's going on with you?" Down, be like, "Hey man, I'm another day breathing. I can't be can't be too." You know what I'm saying? Like one of them old people
What's that
phrases that they
saying?
be saying.
What's that saying? They always say they say any
Any
day
day
I'm
above ground.
standing. Yeah. Any day above ground, I'm good.
Said,
I'm
hey,
like, yo, you must be going through it, my boy.
nah, man, I've been doing good, man. I got a lot of things moving in a positive direction. So, I just try to give those things the same weight as the negative. I think I'd be all right.
For sure, for sure. So today we're gonna talk about Danny's current projects, his 10 issue milestone that is quickly approaching. We're gonna talk about that. And we're gonna talk about creativity, we're gonna talk about life, we're gonna talk about how it's all connected. But before we do that, Um, first of all, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Like this video, share it with somebody, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the show, you can buy me a coffee. The link is scrolling down at the bottom, buymeacoffee.com/Rolam. And I just appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Um, the other thing too that I wanted to say before we get into this, I haven't really done this on this show, but I need to introduce myself more, right? And so I also am a comic book writer, comic book creator.
Yeah.
Um, and I also have just now started my copywriting business. So I help creative brands shape their story. And so email newsletters, landing pages, sales pages, social media campaigns, things of all, things like that. I can help you do that. So that's who I am. Um, and so now, before we get to one last thing, before we get to the actual conversation, Danny, I got to start with the question that I love to start with. What is inspiring you right now? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What's getting the creative juices going?
Yeah, man, the world, bro. The world is in a place right now where I think, people need things that inspire them. And we talk a lot about all these stories, these ideas that we have, and the access that we have that people in the past didn't have to put out these stories. Like we literally can just make things that we want, and find or create a platform to put them out. So but people like Stephanie Williams are doing that. Stephanie Williams is out here. I just read that the sixth issue of Roots of Madness, and I remember she was talking about doing some creator own stuff. She's been writing for Marvel and DC, and did a piece on the Dakota incident and killing the game, and she always encourages us creators to make your own stuff. In addition to wanting to write for Marvel and DC. So seeing her be able to put together a 6 issue run like that is very inspiring. It's very inspiring. So that, and then oh, Papa Bear, what's happening? What's
What's
happening?
good? What's good?
We had him on the Four Tales podcast a couple weeks ago. The
Yeah, he
homie.
was he was on Roland Live last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just the state of the world, man. I think now, in when times are like this, man, when it's a lot of stuff to be depressed about, people need great entertainment. They need stuff to inspire them, and yeah, that's what I'm doing, trying to create those things as well as consume them as much as I can. And Invincible, bro, Invincible has been very good. They doing a great job with that. And for indie creators, that's something that can inspire us, because I mean, Robert Kirkman, he might have had a leg up on us. He partially owned the company that was pushing that's pushing Invincible. But we can do that too. We can own the
Right.
companies that push the things too. So you know that's what I'm inspired by. What about you, bro? What's inspiring you right now?
That's a really good question. So this weekend I'm going on my first ever writers retreat, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have the experience of going away from the crib. It's in Maryland, so I'm excited to go out there and just be in a place where it's just focused on writing and creating for about 2 or 3 days. And so I think that's been something that I've been looking forward to. And I wanted to have my novel finished by the time this was here. My novel's
Hmm.
not finished though. But it's okay. I mean, I think, you know, the process sometimes gets a little derailed when you actually get into the actual writing and creating of the story.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I'm excited. I'm excited to have a novel that's almost finished and um be going on this trip, and it's with a woman named Leslie Penelope, who is a great fantasy author. And so I've been reading her stuff for a couple of years. So I'm excited to meet her and learn from her, and just be around some other like-minded writers. So um, that's what it is for me. That's what it is for me.
Yeah, man. Hope
Also,
you come back refreshed and inspired. With 100 new you ain't never had problems coming up with ideas, but come on back with plenty more.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Real quick, Danny, this is Roland Live, so don't be trying to act like this is your show, trying to interview me. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Asking
bro,
me
man, we
questions. Don't be trying to.
nah, bro. We
Nah,
we
nah,
we, we nah. You said it's gonna be more of a conversation,
no.
so
We'll be
we gonna
right back.
have
We'll
a
be right back, y'all. Hold on. Let me talk to Danny. Hold up.
we
I
gonna
didn't
have
know.
a conversation, bro.
No,
Come
we
on.
had to. I didn't know we had to put down some boundaries for the show. But no. No, I appreciate that though. So, first question I had to get us going was I wanted to ask you, Danny. I mentioned that you're quickly approaching your 10th issue, which will be on Kickstarter. Do we have a date for that yet?
No, no, no date. The only way to know is to sign up to the notify me page. That's the only way
So
to
the,
know.
so the pre-launch page link is in it's not the show note, the description of this video.
Mhm.
Go over there. I think we got about what 140 right now,
Yeah,
141
yeah,
somewhere in there.
yep, 140. We at 140. If we can get to 200, I would love it. But you know,
That's what we're shooting for. That's what we're shooting for. So if you're watching this, go ahead over there, click that pre-launch page. That's the 10th issue of Danny's. Is this the flagship character, or are we gonna piss off lumberjacks and King Supreme if we say Ace Blade is the flagship character of
I
Fourth
don't, I
Wall?
don't care if we piss. I don't care if we piss them off, man. Ace Blade is the flagship character, man. If
Okay.
they if they want the spot, they gotta come take it. They got they gotta
Mm.
come take the spot.
Okay. So this being the 10th issue of the flagship character of Fourth Wall Productions,
Mhm.
what has been the hardest part outside of money? I don't want to hear about money. Okay. What's been the hardest part of being a comic book creator?
The hardest part I want to say has been to stay consistent. When everything changes, I know you make comics, so you know that sometimes you got an artist, you got an issue with an artist, or you find a new artist that you want to work with. We are writers, so sometimes we can write a little quicker than artists can put things together. So you got to be patient. But I think just the consistency. I honestly wish that from the beginning I had one artist that I just did
Mm.
the whole series with. Even though I've worked with some amazing artists, man, like Von Remote, Wally did 2 issues, Wally McNair did 2 issues, JC Grande, William Withers, like they've done amazing jobs with the story. But I wish that I had that consistency through, through all 10 issues or through, the whole story. And that inconsistency, I think it slowed me down more than anything else because, just having to build relationships with new artists and things like that to figure out how they work and, all the different processes that goes in with that, not just artists, but colorists, you know, letterers, stuff like that. So I just think the consistency, if I was able to be consistent with one artist, and that's my intention going forward, but I think it will be like compounded interest. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
the first issue, second issue, third. By the time you get to the third, fourth, fifth issue, it's a machine, and you can
Mm.
just, really lean in on the process, and put out work a lot more smoothly. So I'm hoping I can achieve that in the future.
So when you say consistency, are you talking about the consistency of like you putting out issues, or are you talking about the consistency of the style? What do you mean when you say consistency?
I mean, kind of both. Like, I think that the consistency of the style would help me with the consistency of putting out the issues. I think if I had if I had my process in place, if I had a process defined to make these books, and I was working with the same team consistently, I think these books would be coming out. I think we could do 4 books in a year. I think we could do, six, up to 6 books. Hey, we can do every other month. Not trying to be like, Marvel and DC, but just have the consistency that I could really focus on the marketing part. I could really focus on the business part, instead of having to go and find a new artist, find a new colorist, find, work in this different style. If I could be consistent with the creative team, if I could be consistent in the creative part of it, then I think it would come out a lot smoother on the back end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So did you found a lot of challenges in trying to get to know the new artists?
Not necessarily get to know them, but everybody works different.
Right,
Like,
right.
I might not, like, I've been more personable with some artists than others. Like Wally's the homie, you know what I'm saying? Like, but Wally only did 2 issues. Wally did issues 3 and 4. Um, like,
Well, Wally probably had the books drawn for you asked him though. That's a
right,
little different.
right. That's different, right? That's different. So, but I can't, the same way that I would work with Wally. I couldn't work with JC Grande like that. There's a language barrier there. He did 3 issues, and um, there were more challenges with editing and changes and stuff like that. Whereas William Withers, he lived right up the street, so I can go, I can put my eyes on William if I needed to, and I could call him on the phone. We in the same time zone, all that good stuff. And but Von Remote, the first artist I did with, I could only talk to him by email, and he in the Philippines, so I might send him a message in the morning. He ain't getting back to me until the nighttime. So it's just different processes with the artist that made it a little inconsistency, and having to get to learn those processes with, or make new processes with each artist.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things about being an indie writer, indie artist, is that some of these things we deal with, like the Marvel and the DCs and the images and the booms don't necessarily have to deal with, right? Like when you talk about finding new artists or whatever the case may be, they got the money to just say, "Cool, we're gonna hire this guy for 5 issues," right?
Mhm.
Whereas, I remember when I was working on what was that, issue 2, and we had to hire a new artist 14 pages in, and I remember talking to y'all like, "Hey, I'm gonna have to start over," and y'all was like, "Hey, we know you don't want to get a new artist to have 2 artists on the same book, but you just might have to do this." You know what I'm saying? Like this just part of the grind sometimes. You know what I mean? Um, so one of the questions I wanted to ask too about that is, what has this might be a little bit of a 2-part question. As a comic book creator, I feel like we know what an independent comic book creator, we know what it feels like to have to pivot, right? We know, okay,
Yeah.
this is not working. Okay, we need to try this, right? Have there been any lessons like that in comic book creating that you've taken and applied to your everyday life?
Mm, that's a good question. Um, that I've applied to my everyday life. I think maybe the versatility of it. Um, I learned. I'll tell you one thing I did learn as a comic book creator is, like, it's my firm position now that I'm gonna do everything that I can do myself before I start paying people to do, anything. You know, I'm gonna do as much writing as I can, as much world building as I can. I'm gonna make sure that the story is solid as it can be before I take it to an artist and present something, because those changes, those going back to, say, oh man, that third act, the climax ain't really hitting the way I want it to. Now I see it 4 months later, I'm rereading, I'm like, that climax don't really do it for me. Now I got to go back to the artist and change, and those changes cost money most times. So what's up, Ben? Ben in the building.
My guy, what's good, brother? Appreciate you, man.
Um, so I think in real life, I'm kind of that way too. Like, I'm gonna do as much research as I can. I'm gonna do as much as I can to make sure that when I make the decision, I'm sure about it. You know, I'm gonna do as much research as I can. I'm gonna, have as many conversations as I can. Instead of being as impulsive as I used to be, in my earlier days. I might I
Okay.
might I
Okay,
might
hold
lean
on.
on some. I might lean
This
on
is
wise counsel. I
this is
might.
Rolam Live. We don't lie on this show. We don't
That,
fabricate. You know what I'm saying? We keep it 100. Okay,
that's straight
Danny,
from the
come on,
heart.
bro.
That's straight honesty. That's straight honesty. I'm not the man I used to be. Even 20 minutes ago. I've grown since then. So, so I try to ask questions, and try to take the wise counsel of others, and apply it to the situation. So, and it don't always work like that. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I hear you, but I'm gonna do it my way anyway. But at least I asked the question. Before, I wouldn't even ask the question.
All right, next question. Um, but no, I think that's a very interesting. Right, exactly. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Um, I think that's an interesting thing that you bring up. Even when you talk about like, I'm going to make sure that before I spend money, I'm going to do everything that I can, right? And I think this is, it might not even be related, but what I thought about was, for me, what I have learned. I think I've learned about myself from the
Mhm.
standpoint of so the other day I was actually in a job interview, and I was having a conversation with the manager, and the manager asked me, how do you feel about leading people? How do you feel about, yeah, she said, how do you feel about leading people or like managing projects? And the first thing I thought about was, well, I actually have a lot of experience like managing projects, because I wrote this comic book. I'm a comic book writer, and I have to manage artists and just the different things that go into creating this thing. And it was interesting when I said it. As soon as I said it, I thought to myself, she's not gonna see this as like a she's not gonna see it like that. But when I said it, she goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, you know how to man, you know how to do this." And I said,
Okay.
"Oh." I'm like, "Okay, maybe I do have some more skills than I give myself credit for." You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Um, and so I think I knew that I could lead and I could manage, but I never would have used my comic book experience as an example of that. I would have used other things. You know what I'm saying? Um, so with that being said, another question. I feel like this is gonna switch gears a little bit.
Uh oh.
I'm sorry, my my questions my questions went away. Hold up. All right, here we go. Um, what would you and you already talked about this a little bit, but I want to hear you talk more about this. Um, what would you want to tell yourself working on your first issue? Now that you're at your 10th issue, what is something that you would want to, outside of, you already mentioned like the consistency of the artist and like finding that person.
Hmm.
What advice would you tell that that young, Danny J Quick working on that first issue? Like what would you say?
I would tell them. I would tell myself, ain't nobody got a gun to your head, bro. You ain't gotta. you ain't gotta. You ain't gotta rush this thing. You ain't gotta put
You
this
ain't
thing
gotta
out.
rush it, my boy.
Hey man, shout out to the
Shout out to
homie
my guy
Morgan.
Morgan.
Shout
Yeah,
out to Morgan
yeah.
Iverson, man.
Another bequest brother. Let's go.
I would tell myself, bro, yo, you don't gotta, you know, ain't no rush, man. Literally, we own it. This is something that we decide when it goes out. We decide, the audience. We decide every part of this thing, and
Yeah.
you don't got to put it out until you are ready for it to be put out. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a fine balance between um, what they say. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough, or don't
Mm.
let perfect be the enemy of good. So I'll put something out if it's good. If I think it's good, I can put it out. It don't got to be perfect, but
Mm.
there's no reason to put something out that you don't believe is
Yeah.
even good. You know what I'm saying? Like if I
Mm.
put it out and just be like, all right, it's done. I heard J. Cole talking about that when he was dropping that last album, the Fall Off. He was
Yeah.
saying, he had been working on it so long that he was just like, I'm ready to put it out, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. It wasn't fulfilling to him, and I think that putting out fulfilling work is better than just putting something out. So that's what I would tell myself, 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think that's why deadlines are so important,
Mhm.
because I think you got to find that balance of giving yourself enough time to get it as good as you can get it,
Mhm.
and also not giving yourself so much time that you don't ever put it out. You don't ever release it. You turn into, Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying? Where people are waiting 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And of course it's going to be great, but it's like, when we going to see the result, you know what I mean? And I know I can be the type where I can be very, like I want to get it right. I want to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so no matter how long it takes, I'm gonna keep rewriting it. I'm gonna keep redoing it. I'm gonna keep remixing it until we get it to that place. So I got to have that date where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
I know it's not perfect, but we've done everything we can, and it's
Right.
out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
As artists, man, I think a lot of us struggle with that, because we can keep tinkering and keep working. That's something I know Kendrick Lamar said, with that. I think it was the to Pimp a Butterfly album. Like he was tinkering with it and just kept messing with it. And he was like, man, I could do this forever because you love the process. You might just love the process of creating so much that you might never put it out. But if you're making something that's supposed to be, enjoyed by other people, eventually you got to put it out there. So,
Right. Right.
setting that deadline is definitely, one of the more important things for sure.
Yeah.
What
So,
up, Ryan?
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's good, Ryan? What's good, Ryan? What's good, Cindy? Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Um, so now I sort of want to reverse that question. Um, what do you hope your future self would say about this moment? What would you hope, looking back now that you're about to drop your 10th issue, if you could have a conversation with your future self, what would you hope that your future self would say or feel about this moment as you get ready to drop your 10th issue?
Man, I hope my future self says that I made some good decisions because that's what I got. That's what I got the most anxiety about.
Mm,
Is like even though I said ain't nobody got a gun to my head. Am I working hard enough? Am I actually
mm,
are the moves that I'm making? Are they the right moves? Am I standing on the right business? Am I you know because there's been some conflict in the indie community, and there's been some people there's been some people who say some things, and you know could I be more vocal? Should I be more vocal about certain things? Should I get more involved in the you know does my voice matter? Because people hit you in the inbox about things that it wouldn't necessarily talk about in a public forum.
yeah.
And you know people tell me all the time that they hear when I'm like people tell me all the time, they'd be like, hey man, you don't know how many people are actually listening to you, how many people are actually watching. And I'm like,
Mm,
man, these people ain't paying attention, they don't really care. But who knows, like I write a whole story about somebody who one person who could inspire a nation. His goal, the goal of the story is for one person to inspire another person, and then that next person inspires somebody else, and that's how change happens. So who knows if I could be, one of those people that inspire
mm.
another person to do something great. And I just hope that the future me looks back and can say, all right, you made good decisions.
So what is your, how do you measure that? How do you measure if you've made good decisions or if you're standing on the right business? Like what is your rubric?
Um, I think when we talked a little bit about this earlier. You can play that Michael Beasley. Uh, I think
That's
it's
nasty. That's nasty.
nasty. You know, if you'll do something for $1, you'll do something for $1. I said, hey, you right, bro. No, I think that like the things that I write in my comic books, like I really believe that stuff. So Ace Blade being a person who, stands on what he believes, um, what he believes is his truth is what makes him Ace Blade. So I want to be the kind of person who, not just says one thing, but actually follows through with what I say, you know.
Mm,
So
hmm.
if I believe it enough to say it and to put it out there, then I need to be able to act on that, because I would hate to look back and think that I was a hypocrite for, you know what I'm saying? Like if I think that, if I say, yo, I think the only way that we can really, support each other in comics is to buy each other's books, to read each other's books, and to talk about each other's books. If I don't do that, if I don't do those things, then I think I would consider myself a hypocrite, when I look back on it. So as long as I'm, consistent with the things that I say and do, as long as my words and my actions line up in the future, I think I'll be happy with the decisions I made. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think to me, that's all you can really ask for, right? Because like we just talked about with perfection, right? It's like we can't really, you can't promise yourself that you'll be perfect, right? But you can promise that, if I say something, then my actions are going to line up with that. And then but then also the other thing too about that, my bad, people running past the house. I'm like, what y'all got going on?
It's all right.
Um
Let them kids play.
like, what are y'all doing? Get out of my yard. Get off my
Get
lawn.
off
Like,
my
what's up?
lawn, you kids.
Um but the idea that even if I say something that is wrong, right? I'm able to come back and say, hey, that was wrong. That
Mhm.
was, you know, I shouldn't have said that, or whatever the case may be, right? It's about those principles, those guiding principles that you live under, you know what I'm saying, or that you follow, that
Yeah.
govern what you're doing. And some of those things have to be, quick to apologize, quick to, say, hey, that's not what I meant. I know I said it, taking accountability and all those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Why you
for
laughing?
sure.
What you
No, no,
see?
no. That made me think of, like, early in my comic book career. I had a beef with a young lady comic book creator. The young lady who makes Spirit's Destiny at the time. She
You
was.
had beef with her?
I had beef. I mean, for a short period of time, we were both at Short Fuse. We were both at Short Fuse, and Sean Mack and her was going back and forth. And I know what my contract
Oh,
said. I know what my contract said, so I kind of spoke out on it.
mm,
I spoke out on it. I was like, "Yeah, that ain't right. She ain't supposed to be doing such and such and such." And I called myself having Sean's back and all of that or whatever. And then Maya Crown, I don't know if you remember Maya
yeah.
Crown, rest in peace. She called me. She called me
Oh,
on Facebook Messenger, and my wife is sitting right beside me. I was like, this is weird. She don't call me, like, we talk online, but she don't call me. And she called me and she was like, "Yo, why are you out here giving D a hard time, bro? Like, what are you doing?
mm,
Don't you realize how hard black women have it out here? Like,
mm,
you don't know the full story. You shouldn't be saying nothing." And I was
yeah.
like, you know what? You're right. I
Mm,
was I was sitting beside Tiana and I looked at her and I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't know the whole story. I'm out here, you know, kind of rallying against her. So I ended up I apologized to her, and then I said from then on, you know what? I'm not going to be the one to make it harder for black women, and especially in the space of comic books. I'm not going to be the
yeah.
one to make it harder for them. I got a black wife, I got 3 black daughters, and I know that they have a tough time out here. you know
Mm,
so there's no reason for me to be the person that, even even if she was wrong in the situation, it ain't my business. You know, she and the person that she had a business with can handle that. So I
Yeah,
decided from that point forward, hey, it ain't, if somebody gonna give a black woman a hard time, it ain't gonna be me.
yeah,
It
yeah,
ain't gonna
yeah,
be me. So quickly, just her reaching out and saying, you know, she gave me the business that day, just giving me the third degree. It made me
right.
realize I was wrong, and I had to, I had to turn around on that.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, talking about black women and the things that they go through.
Hmm.
We're going to take a quick little detour because one of the questions that I've been asking, particularly black men, when we see, I feel like the last, it's always hard for black women in this world, right? But
Hmm.
the last like 2-3 months, it's felt, like really crazy. You know what I'm saying? For black women. And I just wonder for you as a black man with black daughters, what is your feeling? What are your thoughts around what you see, what you're seeing in the world? Things happening in Shreveport and
Hmm.
just all the things happening, right? Even Clay and Meg, right? Like what is some of your reactions to some of those things?
Man, it's tough. I think that just in my experience in life, um, the black woman has always been the one to tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And I ain't gonna say every black woman don't always tell the truth, but in my experience, a black woman will tell you what you need to hear, whether you want to hear it or not. I
Right,
know,
right.
I've been married 20 years, and the people that I know that I can trust to tell me the honest to God truth, if it's their truth, if it's something that they observed about me or about my situation, has been, the black women in my family, my wife, my daughters, my aunts, you know, um, they've been the most honest with me and made me have to face, uncomfortable things. And people in the world don't like to be uncomfortable. So, again, and then I also know, like Malcolm X said, the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. And I just know that I don't want to add to that. I don't want to add to that.
Mhm.
I want to take away from that, especially, for my wife first, and foremost, for my children, and then, for the community around me. So if there's an opportunity to believe a black woman, I want to believe them. I want to believe them first. And then if it don't shake out that way, it don't shake out that way. But I want to believe the black woman first.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's just about taking accountability. And I think it's difficult to take accountability when you're insecure. You know what I'm saying? And I think there are a lot of insecure men who can't hear. Like I feel like we got to be able to hear the critiques. We got to be able to hear where we can do better without letting that shake who we are and who we believe we are. As
Yeah.
as men, as humans. You know what I mean? And so you could tell me, hey, you're not treating me right, and I can take that and not let that shake me to my core, and I can say, okay, cool, I can accept that, and we can figure out what we need to do around that, and I
Hmm.
can still be confident, I can still move a certain way. And so for me, I think it's just my challenge for men is like, let's take accountability for what we seeing and where we can step up and do more. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah. Accountability, man. And it's hard for brothers out here too. It's very difficult for brothers. Like, we feel, I know a lot of black men feel, we don't get heard. We be out here saying stuff and believing stuff and trying to make a change, and we don't get quite the respect that we feel like, is warranted in situations. I know a lot of brothers that work really hard, and it feels like, it's not it's not respected. What up, Kyron?
My
Um,
guy, what's good, bro?
but I agree with you, that accountability piece, taking on, listen, I did this, I asked for this responsibility. Like, if you're in a community, if you speak up in a community, if you say things, then you're asking for a pressure, and you have to take, what comes with that. Like I had always, I always told my wife, I was like, hey man, we want to have kids. I know I made part of that decision. I was like, hey, I want to have kids, man. I want to prove, that I'm better than, what's happened in the past. I believe that we can raise children together. I didn't know what all that entailed. I didn't know it was going to be as hard to raise 4 kids as it is, but this is something that I asked for. So I can't, that accountability piece makes it easier for me not to snap on or not to, go off the handle on certain things, because I know I asked for this. And at the end of the day, I did ask for this responsibility of being a husband, of being a parent. And, my therapist, get there, also get therapy if you can, that help with the accountability, brothers. Your therapist, if you find one that you really trust and that gives you good input, say, hey, this is something that you asked for. Now, of course, you can change your mind in the future. It's your choice to change your mind if if you bite off more than you can chew, or if it isn't what you thought it was. But being accountable to your decisions absolutely can. I think it helps me mentally to get through life.
So can we talk a little bit about accountability? Because I think that hold on, let me so Kyron says, no wonder Danny J. Quick wasn't answering my phone calls. He's talking to Ro. He's always told me Ro's him is more important to him. Ro is on a higher tier than I am in Danny's hierarchy.
See, Kyron is trying to start mess. First of all, I didn't say that. Second of all, I do have a hierarchy, but y'all are on the same tier. So he lied.
Oh, I was gonna say it. You didn't need to say it. That would just be obvious. That would just be a clear, a clear delineation. But I guess not.
See, Kyron always trying to start something. You need to take a Kyron. You need to take accountability for lying on here. You need to take accountability for that.
But okay, but let's talk about accountability, because one of the things that I think for me, I always feel like accountability is like a very nebulous. For me, it feels like very nebulous. Like I'm like, what really is accountability? Because, and part of the reason why I feel that way is because like when you get into like, let's say like a writers group, right? I get into a writers group to hold myself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I'm gonna have something turned in, and then I get to that date and it's like I don't have it, or whatever the case may be. Then it's like, what y'all gonna do if I don't turn it in? Like, how you think you gonna hold me as a grown person accountable? Like, what you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think about accountability as an adult?
That's why I say, like, it really, I think it starts inside, right? So in your brain, if I say that I want to be a part of a group, right? If I say, yo, you brothers,
He got video evidence.
no, he doesn't. No, he does not. Did I say that?
No,
I didn't say that.
Send it. Send it.
See, I don't believe him. I think I put y'all. I told him my wife comes first. Never mind. I'm not explaining myself to Kyron in the comments. But I think it starts with, just in the mind, man. If you say you want to be in a group, if you want to be a part of a group, right? You got to be able to trust. Like, the entire humanity is built off of relationships and trust, right? And if you're not the type of person that can hold yourself accountable, then why would I want you in my group? You know what I'm saying? Why would I want you as part of my community? If you say something, and if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, and you don't take accountability for those things, why would I want you as part of my? That's how I feel. Like, why would anybody want me as part of their community if I can't be accountable for my actions? It might not always go like you said. I might, if I say I got a deadline, yo, I'm gonna have this to you by this time. I didn't get this to you at this time. This is why I'm gonna fix it. I didn't get it to you by this time. I got to do my part to try to fix it, to try to make it up to you. That's another thing. Morgan Iverson, shout out to the homie Morgan, because he always says, listen, if we don't deliver the things that we say we're going to deliver, we got to make it up to people. He always likes to put extra stuff. If we late on a Kickstarter or something like that, he like to put extra stuff in the box. He like to reach out to people and be like, hey, I don't got I don't got a variant cover for this, but I do got this. Would that be all right? Communicate. Because you want to build a community. You want to build, a strong community and foundation, in that. So I think it's important. Like, of course, I can't make you do it. I can't make you do it as another man. Like, but I can withdraw my support. I can withdraw my connection. If you out here, scamming people, grifting people for the work that you do, I don't got to post about you. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to use my platform to support you. And, that might not be important to you, but it's important to me. Like, I've had people reach out to me and say, yo, man, why don't you defend me from these? Why don't you speak up for me, man? You know better. You know me better than these people know me. Why don't you speak up for me? I'm like, because they got a good point. If you ain't deliver your books in years, why would I put my name on? I don't have my books. Like, I can't tell them that I can't tell them that you are delivering books when I don't got mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna put my name out there. And then if you won't take accountability for it, I'm definitely not gonna risk my platform and my reputation and my word on you. So, you know, that's just how it goes
Yeah.
for me.
And I think that's the thing about when you say like that's the thing that I'm learning about accountability is you really the biggest thing is you holding yourself accountable. Like
Yeah.
you being able to say, okay, I own this, right? Like this is where I'm not living up to whatever it is that I say I want to live up to, and I own it, right? And then this is how I'm going to address that,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think sometimes when we look at this, I think sometimes when we look at so wait, hold on. This you actually have you actually have tears for people? Like
I
this is
talked to him about
wild.
it on on the podcast. We were talking about, me answering the phone during I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I was basically telling him that if my wife calls me, Tiana is tier 1. So I will, if I'm on the phone with Tiana, I'm not,
Mhm.
and he calls, I'm not going to pick up the phone right then. I'll call him back.
Right.
But if I'm on
But
the
if
phone with him
you on the phone with him and she
and
calls,
she calls, I'm picking up the phone for her, right? So
yeah, yeah,
she's
yeah.
in the first tier. And then there's, my children or my job or whatever. And then tier 3 is all the homies. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's all the people who created it. And then there's a tier 4 and 5 under that. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So that's
right.
what we were talking about. And I
So
was sure that I'd had you and him on the same tier. I was pretty sure about that.
yeah, this is just a plug for y'all show. That's all this is.
Yeah.
That's
Come
all this
see us
is.
on Friday for
Yeah,
Four Podcast.
Foretales for sure. Go check out Foretales, y'all. Fridays 8 p.m. 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Fridays. That's right.
EST for sure. Check it out. Check it out. But yes, that is. I think that's what I'm learning about accountability, and I'm learning that in my life as well, where it's like, okay, take accountability, and like I said before, like you could take accountability for where you're falling short without it affecting your identity. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes we get wrapped up in all of the all the other stuff. You know what I mean? So going back to the questions I had for you though, I feel
Yeah.
like that was a very valuable detour. I
That
think.
was good. I like
Um,
that.
what are you most proud of out of the this first? I mean, you've done a lot of work, but specifically when we talk about Ace Blade, we talk about these 10 issues. Like, what have you achieved in those 10 issues that you're most proud of?
I think I'm just most proud that so I was thinking about this the other day, man. I was like, there's 3 questions that I'm answering with this 10th. Well, the third question that I have for myself, I'm trying to answer with this 10th issue, right? The first question was, can I even make comic books?
Mm,
Is that something I can do? Can I make a comic book? So I can make a comic book consistently. I know I've answered that question. I can at least tell a story in a comic book. The second question is, can I do it well? Can I tell a good story in a comic book? I
mhm,
personally think that 5th issue of Ace Blade is one of the best comic books that is out there. I think that 5th issue of Ace Blade is some of my best work. It's a great story. Ace Blade fights 4 villains in one night. I'm introducing different characters, flashbacks, all connected in between. It's one of my favorite stories that I've told. Now, question 3 is this sustainable? Is this something that is sustainable for me? Can I, you know, make a profitable book and use that money wisely to continue in the future? So at this point, I'm trying to answer that third question. And I believe
Jury's still out.
the jury's still out on it, but I'm trying to answer that question right there. So, I think I'm most proud that two out of three of those questions have been answered, and we're on our way. We're on our way to answering the third question.
Like you was good when you started saying the things that make like the question. I'm like, okay, you're doing a great job. And then he was like, and then using the money wisely. I said,
Ah, man. Hey, I believe in you, bro. But
oh man, oh okay, yeah. I see. We got to take some accountability. We got some work to do.
right. No, man. Kyron knows better than anybody, man. I'm an impulsive creator, man. I have ideas for things, and I know that it takes spending some money to do some things sometimes, but I don't got to do every idea, man. I don't gotta do all of them. And if I want to do all of them, I can make a strategic plan for them. So, but I am doing better with it. I am doing better with that. So, I think we getting there.
Yeah, I think the thing about money is I just feel like a lot of us don't really know how money works. And so when you get into something like comic books, first of all, most people not getting into comic books thinking this is big business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you like superheroes when you was growing up, or you liked anime, or you liked whatever, and so you like this will be cool. So then money starts to come in, and you're starting to figure out, okay, oh, I really got to think about this. Like
Mhm.
I've been going through this process of like, okay, we really need to start thinking about this like more business sounding. Like it
Mhm.
can't just be okay, cool. I made a bunch of money, and now I'm just gonna. It's like, nah, you really need to have a plan and present. That's why my guy Wally, I appreciate Wally so much because Wally's so detail oriented. He be saying
Mhm.
stuff that I'd be like, damn, I didn't even think about that. Like that was not even something that crossed my mind when I
Right. I
thought like,
wouldn't.
oh,
I
I'm gonna
wouldn't
need to
even.
pay for it. I'm like, hold up, god dang, that's crazy. But you need people like that who think like that, especially in this arena that we're in, where most people, at least at the start, they're not thinking that way. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, what are some practical things that you would tell, somebody who is just starting? What are some practical things you would tell them that they need to think about or they need to be doing now to prepare them for a sustainable, independent comic book career?
Um, keep your supplies, man. Like keep your supplies. Like so one of the things that have helped me recently is like TikTok, right? Having these books available to sell on TikTok has helped me because I know, like I said earlier, I'm an impulsive creator. If I get an idea, sometimes most of the time I can just record myself doing it and put it out on TikTok. But now because they got a TikTok shop, I can connect my books to those things. But if I don't have the supplies to ship them, I can't sell them. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have books in stock, like I got three, short boxes of books over here between Ace Blade, King Supreme, Lumberjacks, Battle of the Black Rose. I got the books in stock right now so that if I get a sale today, I can ship them books out today. I don't gotta wait, 2 weeks to order the books and then pack them up and ship them. Whereas when I was just running on the website, we had a longer leeway of time that we could use. So I would say think about your supplies and not just the comic books, but like the mailers, you know, mailers, dang on bags and boards, like all that stuff you gotta have, and all those things, um, uh, you know, apply to the pricing of your stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can't sell a book for $5 when I'm spending $4 to print it, and I gotta buy $100 worth of bags and boards and boxes. So me
Right.
me selling that comic book for $5, that ain't gonna work. I'm already losing money.
Right.
So just things like that. Like actually sit down and Kyron is a mathematician when it comes to um Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. Like I thought I was good. That dude Kyron is really good. So you know I try to lean on him when it comes to budgeting things and putting together pricing. Like he sent me a price sheet for the Kickstarter. How much am I going to need to raise to actually do this? And he sent me a whole
Mm,
sheet that he had found to punch my numbers in. How much did it cost to how much did I pay the writer, the colorist, all of this stuff, and what percentage of that Kickstarter do I want to? What percentage of that price do I want to raise on a Kickstarter? Do I have any money in the savings? Like all that stuff, you just have to think about. And there are people in the community that will answer these questions if you ask them. Um,
mm,
so also practically find a group of people that you can actually talk to who actually will, you know, share information with you. Cause it's been more than one time that I've been like, bro, I ran out of this or I can't figure out how to do this. And somebody in the community has helped me out.
mm. Yeah.
What about
No,
you?
that's
What about
great.
you? What about you, bro?
Yeah.
Like what you been learning?
Yeah. I would say it just goes back to being detail oriented. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, and it's a very small thing, but one of the things I realized the other day was, so I was going to a con and I was trying to figure out how many books I needed. And so usually when I buy books, I just do, I got 3 issues. So I'll just get 50 of one, 50 of two, 50 of three.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was thinking, I was like, but I really don't sell that many of twos and threes like that. So do I need to get the same amount of
Mm-hmm.
books as ones? So as I'm looking at the numbers, I'm like, I don't need all these books. Like, and then now I have variant covers for later issues. So I'm like, if I run out of, a cover, I actually still have, 50 of the issue. It's just a different cover. I don't
Right.
even need to buy these. You know what I'm saying? But that came from me stopping to actually look at. So now after every con or every event, I look at my reports. I say, okay, cool. This how I sold this many of this. Oh, I sold this many of that. Okay, I sold those.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can do this, right? Where before I wasn't looking at the reports. I was just, okay, we did a con. I sold a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
ones. Let me just get some more books. And I'm just buying books. And it's like, and it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's cool to have the supply. It's cool to have the stock. But also if you trying to, make the money stretch, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Let's really think through this before we just hit the button.
Right.
Um,
Instead of buying 50 of each, maybe I can buy 100 ones, and then I can buy 40 number 2 and 40 number 3. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
that same money that I'm spending on those books, I can just use it differently.
right, exactly. And so I think it's just taking the time to. And I think the other thing too that I learned, which is a little bit opposite of what you said earlier, but the idea of like, um, how do you phrase this? Like you said, I'm gonna do everything I can before I spend money on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to learn, like, okay, how long is it gonna take me to learn this right here?
Mm-hmm.
And is it actually gonna be better for me to just spend money on this and
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah,
somebody to help me do this? Because it might take me too long to try to figure out how to do this.
yeah,
And so, whatever. So it's like building, like you talked about this as well, but building that community or that team that can also help you think through some of these things, even when you can't think through it for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree with that. Like there, Morgan Iverson, he'll tell you for sure. Like he ain't never gonna try to draw nothing. He's not gonna
Right,
try to draw.
right, for
He
sure, for
gonna he
sure.
gonna reach out to an artist for that. So if it's something that you can do, you know what I'm saying? Like if it's
Right,
writing, if it's you know world building, if it's the thing that you can do. Like if I was an artist and I was designing these characters, I'm a design the heck out of these characters before you
right.
know I start actually drawing pages is what I mean. Like doing
Yeah, yeah, for
doing
sure.
as much of what I can do um
Right.
before I start paying people. What's up, Martin? Is it
Mr.
Jerome?
Martin.
What's
Mr.
happening?
Martin, how you feeling, man? How you doing? Yeah, so that's the show. Man, Danny, I appreciate you for coming through. Before we get out of here, can you just give one last plug, anything you want to share with the people, anything they need to be looking out for? Obviously, we got the 10th issue on the way. Talk to the people, man. What's up?
Absolutely, man. Please, go over to the Kickstarter. The link is in the
He
description.
said, please.
Please, because we got some cool stuff.
Help me, please.
We decided we got these new Ace Blade daggers, these kunai, and decided that everybody who pledges to a physical level on the first day is gonna get one of these for free. That's another incentive. But if you pledge on the second day, it's gonna cost you $10.
$10.
It'll cost you $10 on the second day. But if you pledge on the first day, which is what I want y'all to do, you can get one of these for free in your package. Yeah. We're gonna have all 10 issues available. We got a variant cover. We got variant covers for Marcus Williams and Sanford Green. We got some amazing artists on this, man. And it's the end of the Cash Rules Everything Around Me arc. So definitely check it out on Kickstarter. Other than that, you can find me at the Ace Blade on all social media platforms, man. And I appreciate you having me, Ro. I think this is actually my last interview before the Kickstarter goes live. So whether it goes live in 10 days, or whether it goes live in 10 days or 14 days.
Okay.
I'll be using these interviews. I've been doing interviews for the past 2 weeks. I'll be reposting these when it's time, but it'll be pretty soon. It just won't be too soon. It ain't gonna be no time this week for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you for coming through, Danny. Definitely love what you're doing with Ace Blade, and I definitely admire and look up to you, and definitely, I mean, it's something special about doing 10 issues. You know what I'm saying? It just speaks to the commitment, it speaks to the dedication, and it just speaks to the brand, man. So I appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. And to the watchers, the viewers, the audience, thank y'all for watching. Again, like this video, share it with somebody, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support, you can buy me a coffee. The link is down at the bottom. Also, the link to the pre-launch page is in the description of the video. So definitely go check out Danny's 10th issue of Ace Blade. You said it's the end of the Cash Rules Everything Around Me?
Yeah, this is the last issue of that. So
so y'all definitely check that out. Appreciate y'all for coming through. And as always, I love you. I'll see you soon. Peace.